A convicted child predator faces the parole board, claiming he's the real victim. But as he spins his story, the board cuts through the lies. And what happens next is pure justice on camera.
Because in pretty much everything I've read up to today, you weren't accepting responsibility. You still denied that it occurred.
Are you coming in here and telling us what you think we want to hear so that you can get on parole? And not only that, but you further traumatized your victim by saying that he was coerced and had mental health issues and basically calling this child a liar for years.
Mr. Joshua Richardson, inmate number 424389, who is serving a total effective sentence of 21 years, suspended after 8 years. This is followed by 15 years probation. And this is for illegal sexual contact on victim less than age 13, risk of injury to child, sexual assault, third degree, use or threat of force, and also conveying unauthorized item into institution. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility of Mr. Richardson of February 25th, 2022. This is at 50% eligibility. There is victimhood in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the short-term sex treatment program. Remains on the Department of Correction waiting list for education need to be identified, 5 or 7 day job assignment, vocational need to be assessed, and voices. This is according to the RT3 inquiry I just ran. Utilize statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender's overall score on the RT falls within the low range risk of recidivism. That was an echo.
Yes.
Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. All right, Mr. Richardson, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good morning. Thank you. To the distinguished members of the board, I thank you for allowing me to speak before you today. For 2,277 days, I have reflected on my mistakes and discerned from them how to be a better human being overall. I have truly come to understand what it means to be rehabilitated completely and fully. My only desire is to become a peaceful, law-abiding citizen again and to re-enter the world and prove to those who have stood by me in my darkest days that their faith is not misplaced. I especially want to thank and acknowledge my best friend and love of my life. Her never-ending encouragement and love have strengthened me in my weakest moments. I only wish to repay her with my undying love and support all the days of my life. As it says in the Bible in James chapter 1, verse 25, but he who looks into the perfect law of freedom and continues not being a hearer who forgets, but a doer of the work, this means he will be blessed in all he does. I fully intend, if upon release, to be a doer of that word, to follow all things put before me and follow them to completion for the rest of my life. And not just a hearer. I thank you for the consideration of my case.
Thank you for your statement, sir. We do have questions for you. When we're done with our questions, we'll turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services for input, and then we'll deliberate and give you our decision here today.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Palmieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Richardson, I just want to ask right off the bat, do you still deny these charges?
No, I don't. I take responsibility for my actions.
So you admit that you committed these sexual assaults against the victim?
Yes, ma'am, and I take full responsibility for that.
Okay, because in pretty much everything I've read up to today, you weren't accepting responsibility. You still denied that it occurred.
I didn't deny everything. I only denied a portion of it. But as of today, after reflecting, talking with family, praying about it, I take full 100% responsibility for all my actions.
Okay. So you've changed that because of prayer and talking with your family?
Yes, my family is the biggest support system I have, and they are behind me 100% regardless of what I've done. And of course, because of that, I take responsibility for it. So yes, I take 100% responsibility for my actions. Only I committed them, and therefore I am responsible.
Okay. And the assault took place over 4 years?
It took place in less than 4 years.
In less than 4 years, but over the course of 4 years?
Not a 4 year period, in a 1 year period. They say it was a 4 year period. I am admitting to a 1 year period.
Okay.
That's the part where I was denying it. So it wasn't that big time span.
All right. And you have no prior criminal history, so you've never been arrested or convicted before.
No, ma'am.
And you know you have 15 years of probation to follow your period of incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did say that through the support of your family, we did get a number of letters in support of your early release, and you're attesting to your character and that you'll change and they'll support you in the community, including your mother and your girlfriend and the mother-in-law of
Yes,
your
ma'am.
girlfriend. Okay. You've taken the short-term sex offender treatment program during
Yes,
your period of incarceration. Can you tell me why you think they wanted you to take that program?
Because I'm a sex offender, ma'am. Because I committed the crime and I'm responsible. Therefore, I needed to figure out what are my triggers, how to avoid them, and how to be able to channel destructive behavior into positivity. That way, going forward, I can't reoffend again.
When did you finish the program?
Almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago. Okay. Prior to taking that program, were you still in denial, or was it?
No, I was accepting it because the day one of the program, you have to actually come out and say whether you were guilty or not. And I stood up in front of everybody and said, yes, I am guilty of this crime and I deserve to be here.
Okay. All right. So tell me what you were able to identify through that treatment program as triggers for you in the community.
So prior to taking this class, I've also taken some other voluntary programs while I was at Garner and other programs, learning specifically about mental health, specifically that I have complex PTSD and I have triggers due to a traumatic childhood involving my father and his suicide and his abuse of me as a child. So I learned to be able to actually approach those things that I denied that ever happened to me. And then I learned that those led to negative thoughts, and those negative thoughts were what were triggering me. So now, instead of particularly just if I have a negative thought, I start channeling it out. I write it out completely, the complete thought. I break it down word by word, sentence by sentence. Then I figure, okay, what's the root cause of this that's causing the thought? And then I look for positive ways to be able to I guess, mold it into a way that so I can find positivity and gain strength from the negative thought instead of, negativity. So I also learned about what are the potential pitfalls that you might experience in the world, situations, environments, people, and I learned exactly, how to live a productive lifestyle that avoids all those things.
So when you have these triggers, that will be your process.
That will be my process, as well as seeking, like, as if it is a very complex trigger thought, that is where I seek professional help. Because I do plan to go to individual therapy as well as group therapy and seek mental health services, very frequently if I return to the world. So, when I reach the point where I can't seem to figure out the solution to it, I will seek professional help so I can avoid those things, because I don't not wish to offend again or get into a situation that I cannot get out of again.
Is that also what you would consider to be your relapse prevention plan?
Yes, ma'am. As well as, between, wanting to be a productive member of society, I want to get training to actually have a career, just to be able to support myself financially, as well as support my loved ones, because my girlfriend will become my wife. We are planning to get married and we're planning to be a family, and I want to be able to support her completely in all her dreams. So having that, as well as I have a very large family that is very supportive. I have a very large church family that is very supportive because I'm very into my religion. And so all those groups have all decided to rally around me to make sure that I can't fail again.
Your relationship with the victims, have you had any contact with any of that side of the family?
No, ma'am.
You have 3 disciplinary reports.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about those a little bit? I mean, one of them resulted in a new conviction and a 1-year consecutive sentence. It's pretty significant.
I can. So the first one, for the intoxication, I still was fairly new to jail, and I was very frightened about still being in jail, as well as dealing with PTSD, anxiety, and mental health stuff that I hadn't got a handle on. And I had just gotten a new bunkmate who came in at Corrigan, and he had Suboxone. And he said, "Oh, take this, it'll knock the edge off." And I said, no, for a couple weeks. And then eventually I succumbed to the pressure of him, offering it to me on an almost daily basis. And when I did the urinalysis the following day, I immediately, before they even gave it to me, I admitted to my wrongdoing and took full responsibility for it. As for the newest conviction, as you can tell, I'm not a very small person. And so I had a sewing needle that I was using to alter my clothes to be able to fit more properly because the facility didn't have sizes that fit me. Now, when they found the item, they said the facility said it was contraband, and they dumbed it down to tattooing equipment when it really was a sewing needle, and I admitted it to it. But then the state said, "Oh, it was a weapon," and so I went through the process of dealing with the new charge. And the attorney came to me after a couple of months and said, "They're offering you a 1 year added onto your sentence. It's probably the best offer you're going to get." And he suggested that I take it. And not really knowing very much about the law, I was afraid. I was afraid of, how long it would take me to get in front of you today. And I took the offer. But I don't agree with it being a weapon. It was a sewing needle just to alter my clothes so that I could be comfortable, in my own skin and walking around and not look like a fool.
Where did you get the sewing needle?
A sewing needle there was a gentleman on my block who made them. For $2, he would make you one. And I took the offer.
All right. So some of the other programs that they wanted you to take was the Voices program.
They initially gave me Voices program, then they took away Voices program, and then upon the new conviction, they put Voices back on my program. But in this facility, it's a 1.5 year wait to get into.
Okay. And I realize that you haven't taken it and you're on the waiting list for it. And you know that the Voices program is to bring awareness about the victimization that you've had on the victim and how their long-term effects are. So in your situation, tell me what you've thought in terms of what is the long-term effects on the victim. How do you think this affects the life of the victim?
This profoundly affects the life of the victim. As myself as being a victim of this crime by my own father as a child, it stays with you every day of your life forever. You can find coping ways to deal with it and get through life with it, but it never goes away. I have profoundly affected my victims in a negative way, and I forever will feel guilty of that and forever take responsibility for that. I cannot take it back. I did it. I can't take it back. But all I can do going forward is be a positivity in the world and not a negativity in the world.
So let's talk a little bit about your release plan. You've proposed to live with your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am. We were living together prior to this.
Right. And what else is your plan upon release?
I intend to take advantage. The state has been offering vocational training programs that I've been trying to get into while incarcerated, but because of the length of I've left on my sentence, I'm not eligible to take any of those. So upon release, the first thing I wish to do is to go up to Hartford and enroll in the program to try to get some vocational training so I can have a career, as well as seeking, individual therapy multiple times a week, as well as going to scheduled programs that are going to be, required of me. And in the meantime, I have put out, little feelers for trying to find employment, and I have found some responses, especially where I used to work before. They are more than willing to accept me back to work. So I should have a job fairly quickly upon release. And pretty much my life at this point is about going to work and going home and maintaining a home life. That's my whole world. I only ever really want to do that. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't go places where I don't go, not supposed to go. As I said to the parole officer, kind of like me and my girlfriend's life is, we love to go antiquing. We love to go to thrift shops, and we love like that kind of thing. But then it's pretty much that and go home, and that makes me the happiest person in the world and the safest person in the world.
Okay. Well, it's important to have hobbies and structure in the community. I appreciate that. You have a lifetime requirement to be on the sex offender registry. Can you think of how that will impact you at all,
It will
positively
impact me
or
the rest of my
negatively?
life. It will it will impact me negatively, but that also holds me accountable. It also always will hold me accountable for what I've done. It'll always be a reminder of what not to do, what not to repeat, what behaviors not to do, not to repeat, and how to go forward in positivity. So I think it is a negative, but it also been used as a positive.
What do you think will be difficult for you upon release?
I think probably employment would be difficult, but as well as acclimating into the community if they wish to know about what I've done. And I'm not afraid to tell people what I'm convicted of. I'm not afraid to tell them that yes, I'm guilty. But that's because I made this mistake and I messed up. It's not a definition of who I am as a person and who I am going forward. I can be a great person going forward despite all this.
What do you do to occupy your time now that you're done with treatment?
Right now, I spend I talked a lot to family. I talked to my girlfriend. We get 6 free calls a day. All 6 free calls are used up to talk to them. Between them, I do drawing. I've taught myself how to do art. I've gone from basic stick figures to, I would say, somewhat decent work at this point. I'm no Van Gogh, but between that, I go to church. I do daily devotional, daily Bible studies. I don't really socialize a lot with the people in here. I tend to be quiet and read books and stuff like that. There's a few people I talk to, but I tend to just keep to myself and try to be as low profile as possible. So, I'm a very quiet person, introverted to begin with. So that sort of fits what I do now. So right now, that's kind of what I do. Pretty much the art and the reading.
Okay. So upon release, you want to work, you have some hobbies with your girlfriend. What do you think about treatment? What are your treatment needs upon release?
Well, I do need therapy. It's agreed that I have to explore more about the CPTSD. I have to get more into what happened to me as a child and what that has changed me to lead to me where I am today and lead to what the causes of me to have committed my crime. So I do need that, as well as I do well in groups. I do well individually. I would like to do both. I would love to do groups openly to be able to discuss. Maybe something that I have done can help somebody else. I get a kind of profound sense of, I guess, achievement if something in my past can help somebody else get through something they're struggling with. So groups is good.
Okay. And you'll be required, you have 15 years of probation.
Yes,
so you will be required to continue with the sex offender treatment in the community, and that'll be primarily group
yes, ma'am.
related. So that'll be one thing. Do you think you will have a condition of no minors?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, you can't be around any minors. Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Richardson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Richardson, in your discussion with my colleague, I was just jotting down a few questions because some of the stuff, it just doesn't line up. There seems to be some discrepancies.
Yes, ma'am.
And so just for clarification purposes, were you residing with this victim at one point?
Yes, I was.
For how long?
Before they were born, technically, I was living with my sister and her ex-husband at the time. I was kind of like the primary source that was paying the rent in the facility wherever we were living because my sister didn't work.
Let's stop you, Mr. Richardson. How long did you live there?
I don't know. It was probably 10, 12 years.
So when the victim says that this has occurred for over 4 years, you're saying it was 1 year.
It was 1 year. It was the last year that I was living there.
Why did you choose this victim?
Excuse me?
Why did you choose this victim?
This victim was the closest thing to me. It wasn't like I intentionally went after it. It was the closest thing to me. At the time I committed the crime, and as I've stated in my program before, I felt like a lack of control because I had no control over anything in the house. So I felt like if I did this, I could have some control over something. It was very wrong, and I admit guilt to that it was very wrong thinking and stuff. But I I didn't have a handle on exactly where my thought patterns were at the time. So between then and now is when I've been able to figure out exactly what was the trigger, what caused me my mind to go there, and what my thoughts were.
But you just said that you were the one that was bringing in the money. So
I wasn't the only one bringing in money. The father was also working at the same time, but between me and him, we were the ones that were primarily paying the bills, the rent, and so forth.
So okay. So let's go one step further. So if this victim were your sister, do you have the same mother and father?
Yes.
And so does your sister still maintain a relationship with your mother?
It's kind of rocky at times, but yes.
And how about the children?
She doesn't really have a relationship with the children.
I'm just curious. This offense had to have divided your family.
Yes, it has. And initially, it divided my family, but my sister has come to support me after the fact. But me and her have never had the greatest relationship to begin with. So we keep a little bit of a distance between ourselves. We communicate to stay friendly, but we don't have the closest relationship.
So when you're having family gatherings, what do you think the situation will be like?
Well, the situation now is family gatherings is probably just between me and my mom. I doubt that my sister would actually participate in them because she, for lack of a better word, she's not very reliable. She kind of is not present most of the time. So no, but it has to do with her own mental health issues. She has her own mental health issues that she has always refused to be able to deal with. So because of that, it puts a strain on our relationship, particularly between my mom and her. But the relationship between me and my mom is great. It's always been great. But the relationship.
Stop.
Sorry.
So does your mother know that you admit now?
Yes.
When did you tell her?
2 years ago.
So you were just interviewed by the officer in February, and you said, and I'm going to quote because the officer wrote it. You said to him that Mr. Richardson was asked to comment about the day of his arrest. He states that the police showed up at his residence and served him with a warrant. When asked about his involvement in this offense, he says he thinks that he was the only person to blame. Mr. Richardson says he did not commit this offense.
Yes, at some point though, I have to play.
You just said that you admitted it 2 years ago. This was last month.
I talked to. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I'm just confused. That's all. It's not that I talked about that. I got arrested.
You won't be confused. You know that.
I apologize. I'm just confused. That's all. I admitted it 2 years ago that I was guilty of something, but I didn't admit guilty of this. I admitted that I was guilty of putting myself in a situation like this. I'm admitting now that I'm guilty of the crime. I'm convicted of the crime, I'm guilty of the crime, and I'm taking responsibility for the crime for the rest of my life. And I'm accepting those responsibilities.
Just last month, you were not. So I'm
Between then and now, I've had the opportunity to be able to reach out to every one of my family members, every one of my support groups, including in the world.
I have to be honest with you and tell you that I don't believe that. You were just saying to my colleague, you just said, I asked you, when did you tell your mother? You said 2 years ago. And 2 years ago was
about my own abuse,
month.
not my own abuse. I'm referring to my own abuse.
Well, we weren't talking about you.
That's where I'm confused. I don't know which one you're talking about.
We're here to talk about, you're not the victim in this offense. The victim of this offense is the child.
That's where I'm confused. Because
That's what we are talking about. You're not a victim, sir. You're not a victim.
No, I'm not a victim. I'm not claiming victim. I apologize. There's a stuttering between the.
Why you would refer to yourself as a victim? You're not in prison for sexually assaulting yourself.
No, I'm not. I admit that. There's a stuttering between the video here, and that's where I got confused.
So, Mr. Richardson, when I asked you if you denied the offense, you said no. And I asked you, did you admit the offense when you went into treatment? And you said yes. And that's why I asked you, when did you finish treatment? Because the report says that you say you denied it. So I just,
right.
I just wanted to clarification on my own questioning because I was deliberate
I know
in
you
my
are. I
question.
know. And I'm just not understanding why, I mean, we do our homework and we are very thorough.
I'm aware of that, yes.
So I'm not sure why you would sit here today and say, yes, I admitted that I did it. And I've been telling everyone that I did it and your family's all rallying behind you. And now you're sitting here today and telling us that, I didn't, based on everything that was read up until this very moment,
Right.
it has said that you denied committing this crime.
I agree with you.
Okay, I'm all set, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, this really is a dilemma, Mr. Richardson. I have a similar concern. Are you coming in here and telling us what you think we want to hear so that you can get on parole? Or are you really being honest with everyone? Have you told your fiance yet that you committed these crimes against the child?
Yes.
And what did that conversation look like?
It was very brutal. It was very brutal. We did not talk for a while. And
So when did you have this conversation?
Only recently, when I started having this conversation about coming to here and admitting everything.
When did you have this conversation, sir?
Just recently, like
can you define recently? Because your time frames are a little bit.
Couple weeks, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. You had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and how did she react to the news?
She was devastated.
But I mean, you had been lying to everyone for years, right? She didn't care that you had lied to her about this?
Yes, I should have cared, and I feel bad about it now.
And not only that, but you further traumatized your victim by saying that he was coerced and had mental health issues and basically calling this child a liar for years.
Yes, and I'm responsible for that.
Yeah. So I guess I'm a little confused about how and when exactly you came to the conclusion that you would be truthful to everybody.
I don't know how I came to the conclusion other than prayer, talking to people, admitting it with myself. I mean, the first thing you have to do is admit it with yourself. First thing I had to do was admit myself that I'm responsible.
But the treatment program didn't do that for you.
No, but the treatment program helped me figure out where my thought patterns go. What caused me to get to that point.
Right.
That's what the treatment program. It's not saying that it's not what drove me to say I admit it. I mean, in the group, you have to be honest, because if you're not honest, the person who runs the group will call you out.
But you weren't being honest, is my point.
Right.
I went in the group and I admitted it. I just wasn't ready to admit it to my family yet. That's the part that
He says he admitted it in treatment.
But he just said he told his family. He said it.
Not during treatment. I completed treatment over a year ago. I hadn't admitted it to my family then.
Right. So you had all of these conversations in the past couple of weeks?
No, primarily it started very slowly a couple months ago, but it's only within the last couple of weeks that I really buckled down and said, here's the 100% God honest truth. I admit to everything.
So why wouldn't you have then been honest with the parole officer a month ago?
Every time I get in front of somebody from the Department of Corrections, every time I get in front of somebody, I start having anxiety issues. So when they comes with me the questions, I told the gentleman that, look, I'm confused by the questions. Can you explain the questions? And so on and so forth. And he tried to explain them. And all I wanted to admit was the part where I don't believe that it was a 4-year window.
No, but that wasn't the question. And you did not you said nothing in the interview about it, disagreeing with the 4-year window and it only happened in a year. You said you didn't do it at all.
I'm only hearing about the 4-year window now.
Oh, that's not, okay.
This is not.
Yeah, all right. So at this point, we're going to ask that you not interrupt. We're going to turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services. Mr. Jesus, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, board members. I do have 2 statements to read to the parole board. I recently received notice for a parole hearing for Joshua Richardson. What caught me by surprise was that it has only been 3 years since his sentencing when we faced the defendant by Zoom. Time can go on fast or feel like an eternity. It made me think of the length of time my grandson was physically, sexually, and emotionally tortured while my then 1-year-old granddaughter witnessed the abuse of her brother by Mr. Richardson over several years. At the age of 4, time should be a long summer vacation a time for growth, development, and love of family. Unfortunately, this was not the case. We continue to try to heal and move on from the atrocities endured to our family by inmate and pedophile Richardson. We are admittedly against granting parole to him. We feel that even his full sentence of 10 years would not be punishment enough, as this is a man that never took responsibility for his crimes. The unbelievable undue stress put on our entire family before sentencing was at times unbearable. The mere thought that the children would have to testify in court and relive their nightmare once again was hard to fathom. This, in and of itself, was another form of torture. We accept the fact that it was better for us to accept Mr. Richardson's plea under the Alford Doctrine, with less time served, than to traumatize the children again. To release this pedophile any sooner than his full sentence would be a great injustice to our family, as knowing Mr. Richardson is behind bars at this time gives us some comfort. Thank you. And it's signed Anna and Louise Stein. The next statement to the Board of Parole. In regards to Mr. Richardson's receiving parole before the end of his sentence served would be an injustice to our family. My family has been forever affected due to the criminal actions of this man. My son continues to recover from what was done to him from the time he was 4 years old. He still receives therapy twice a week with no plans to stop. My daughter is also in therapy and also has been forever traumatized seeing what happened to her brother. This is their lifelong sentence. This pedophile has never taken full responsibility for his crimes against my children. Why should he even feel he deserves parole and be able to disrupt our lives again? Inmate Richardson, under no circumstances, should be able to serve less than his full sentence while we continue to serve ours. Respectfully, Joshua Stein. That's all I have, board members.
Thank you very much, Ms. De Jesus. Okay, give us a few minutes, sir, to deliberate about your case, and we'll get back to you with our decision. Ms. Palmieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think we're all in agreement that Mr. Richardson's interview with us is very concerning. In one breath, if he's now accepting responsibility, I think that's the first step in the road to rehabilitation and to addressing what his needs are. My concern is some of the manipulation that was attempted, which goes back to offender change. And, we're not here to decide guilt or innocence. So if Mr. Richardson chose to come and continue to deny, that's not where our role is. Our role is really suitability, offender change. And in my view, Mr. Richardson hasn't presented as being suitable. Due to a lot of the attempted manipulation of how he constructed his answers to today's questions, he did complete the sex offender treatment program. That's a positive.
Yeah.
He does score low on the risk. He has these 3 disciplinary reports. One was serious enough to warrant an additional consecutive sentence. So that is a concern. I do think he has a reasonable release plan with a lot of support in the community, which I think will benefit him down the road. He has 15 years of probation and a lifetime requirement to be on the sex offender registry. But based on what we've seen here today and our discussion with Mr. Richardson, I do not find him suitable for early release.
Thank you, Ms.
And I just wanted to add, and we did hear from the victims today, which, is, I think, just a snapshot of what the children were put through.
Right.
When you read actually the victim statement in the pre-sentence report, it really, I think, presents the bigger picture. I appreciate the victim's grandparent and the mom coming forward today, but it was a 4-year period of victimization, of force and assault. And I think that Mr. Richardson needs to address that and work on his behavior before he's suitable to be back in the community.
Thank you. Ms. Page?
I agree.
So, yeah. In the matter of Joshua Richardson, inmate number 424-389, I'll make a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstance of your offenses, inadequate evidence of offender change, and the injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family. Is there anything else? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We wish you the best, sir. Take advantage of your 15 years of probation and keep working on yourself.
I just, one quick question. Is that just straight denied with no chance
It is.
again?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You're,
Thank you.
you're done next year.
Joshua Richardson, inmate number 424-389. Mr. Richardson, could you please come over? I need to ask her something quickly.